And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. We're this time here for the qualifying session ahead of the German Grand Prix here at Hockenheim, of course. I am JW97, and I'm once again joined by Dennis.
Hello there.
Yep, we're getting set for qualifying. There is no rain expected across all three sessions, so I might as well ask you, Dennis, who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
So I think to say that the two Williams will be eliminated is a no-brainer, to be honest. Then I would say both Aston Martins, one Alfa Romeo, and one Haas.
I'm going to say both Williamses, both Aston Martins, an Alfa Romeo, and I'm going to be with you as well, Dennis. I think a Haas will get eliminated because they didn't look particularly strong in practice, although that could be different when we get to this qualifying session and we get our prediction wrong by a long way, but I'm going to be sticking with that, as Bence Valdinger is the first driver out of the pits in the Alfa Romeo, as we've got predictions coming in the stream chat, as I accidentally unmute the stream there, so apologies, as Rob has said both Williamses, both Aston Martins, one Alfa Romeo and one McLaren. Franco has said both Williamses, an Aston, an Alfa, a McLaren and a Haas. So he's going very bold as well, like us two, with the Haas prediction. So anyway, Bence Valdinger making his way into the hairpin as he is preparing to start his first qualifying lap here at Hockenheim. As Valdinger now they're making his way through the flat out right-hander before approaching the next section of corners as he flicks it in through into the left-hander now then, and then through into the right we shall go, as now coming down the little straight really, which takes you back onto where the drag strip is essentially, and then we get into the stadium section of the racetrack now then, where most of the fans are, and Valdinger about to start his lap. Now this is obviously a very short track, so the chances of traffic are particularly high around here, so whether Valdinger will get impacted on his first flying lap we shall see, as there's still now two cars still needing to come out onto the track, as Valdinger about to start his first flying lap. Still one car left needing to come out onto the track. Is Valdinger going to get held up? The answer to that is no. So the Hungarian is going to get a clean lap on this occasion as he makes his way down towards turn 2 now then. So through the second corner and then into turn 3 he shall go. And let's see what the first sector is going to look like for Valdinger. And it's a 16.714. Through the parabolica we go. This is classed as a corner on this track through this long curve. As we look at everybody else's sector size, 16.5 for Mocho in the first sector, so he's down on the Alfa Romeo. 16.1 for Byrne, 16. Sorry, that was on Kloss there. I apologise, I read the wrong thing there. Kloss 16.4, Mocho 16.5, 16.7 for Valdinger, 16.1 for Carr, 16.1 for Byrne. Byrne slightly quicker than Carr in the first sector there, as Valdinger is making his way past the Mercedes grandstand there. Through the right hander he goes as he'll now approach the end of the second sector now then, which is going to be a 49.727 in the middle sector. Through into the right hander he will go as he'll now come towards the stadium section of the racetrack, and through into the banked left hander he will go, and now into the final four corners he goes, through into the left, through into the right, braking for the penultimate corner now then, which is right next to the drag strip, through into the final corner, onto the pit straight. And what is the benchmark of time going to be then from Bence Valdinger? It's going to be a 1 minute 11.616. Michael Mocho across the line, he goes quickest by 2 tenths of a second, but Quayle gets beaten by Gal, who actually used a little bit of slipstream to go quicker. Kloss 3 tenths behind in second place. Byrne across the line, he goes quicker by 3 tenths of a second. Here comes Armar Carr in the Mercedes as he crosses the line now then and goes quickest by 1/10 of a second, so able to find some time on Byrne there in the last two sectors. Jake Galloway across the line he will go, and Galloway goes into 6th position. Franco Lopez across the line he will go, rounds the final corner and onto the pit straight he will now come, and he goes into 4th position, slots behind Miklos Gal in fact, so Gal's slipstream clearly helping him there. 6th place for Roman Quag. Rahul Patel goes into 7th place. Joseph Willows in the McLaren in BMW's home race crosses the line, goes into 11th, 2 seconds off the pace, so not a good lap there for Willows. Videri goes 12th, Martins goes 8th. A good lap for him there. De Rosa across the line. He goes into 9th. As Sontag in the Williams just comes out of the final turn across the line. He will go. He goes into 15th position. Griffiths goes 11th. A good time for him there on the first flying lap. So it suggests that maybe a few mistakes there, or whether Griffiths had a very good lap there or not. Roke goes into 3rd. Q-Pop goes into 12th there. Here comes Loa Chung in the Lamborghini. She's now going to cross the line, and she goes into 8th position. Perrinen goes into 6th. Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. He's now going to come across the line now then, and he goes into only 15th with that lap there, as Wilson crosses the line and she goes into 20th position. So yeah, pretty good first lap for Griffiths there. Whether that was because drivers made mistakes or not, I'm not sure, but a good first lap there for Jamie Griffiths. Not a very good lap for Joseph Willows there.
Yeah, indeed. Willows was just struggling at this first run, but as mentioned, Griffith, that was a very great lap. But also, what I currently see is that the two Ferraris are only in 15th and 17th, so they have to get their fade on.
Yes, essentially. And, well, 15th and 17th for the two Ferrari drivers. As currently in the drop zone, we have Galloway as a result of that, so not good for him. Valdinger, Videri, Wilson, Willows down in 21st, and Sontag 22nd. So both Alfa Romeos currently in the drop zone. Should also remind you as well, even though Gal got a very good lap there into 4th position, we should remind you as well, for anybody who didn't see the practice session, Gal does have a 10th-place grid penalty for this race for causing that crash with Chris Chatfield at the last race at Mazzano, where he rejoined dangerously into the path of the Ferrari driver. So wherever Gal ends up in this qualifying session, he will drop 10 places back. So just to bear that one in mind. It is his second grid penalty that he's had this season as well. So not really doing well in the grid penalty department is Miklos Gal, as the AlphaTauri there is waiting for the Williams to get towed back before he can get into his box. So having to wait a little bit there. But yeah, car currently at the top of the timing screens. Of course, we talked about this in practice, Dennis. It is usually a bogey track, Hockenheim is for Armar Car, and so far he currently tops the timing sheets.
Yeah, it seems like he's desperate to put that curse behind him, but it was only the first lap of Q1, so of course not time for the two Red Bulls and of course Lopez to get their own chance of grabbing P1 here.
Indeed, as Michael Mocho is going out on track first of all for the second runs. Now, usually, of course, one driver does get left behind when it comes to the second run. So, of course, we shall wait and see who that one ends up being as Mocho just makes his way into the hairpin. Also on track is Bent Valdinger in the Alfa Romeo. Lopez and Carr have also come out on track. So the two Mercedes drivers not wasting any time whatsoever. And Patel has also just gone out on track as well. Now, I do wonder if Mocho is going to get any traffic. I did allude to this, of course, when they did their first flying laps, that traffic can be a big thing around here. And I wonder if Mocho is going to get caught up in any traffic at all, or whether, just like what we saw with Bence Valdinger a little bit earlier on, he's going to get a little bit more lucky. As Mocho now then just making his way into the banked left-hander now then. He will go, as he will now make his way into the final few turns on the racetrack. Mocho now then into the penultimate corner, and now into the final corner will come Michael Mocho in the Haas as he starts his second flying lap here at Hockenheim. As Mocho makes his way into turn one, he will go. Is he going to get any traffic on this occasion? There is a car coming out of the pit lane, and it is an Aston Martin, and I've got a feeling Mocho is going to get held up here. Well, at the moment he might not be. It depends if he can get quickly past the Aston Martin. He will get some slipstream from the Aston down this back straight here through Parabolica, of course, but he is 34 thousandths down on his personal best. He could gain it back with this slipstream, but he needs to get past this Aston if he wants the lap to not be impeded at all in any shape or form. As he goes into the hairpin, and it looks like he's going to get compromised, I'm afraid. Mocho not able to pull the move off there, and well, this lap is down the toilet for him.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, but of course that's the nature of this track, quite short, which means that the space is not that much, of course. A certain Spanish F1 driver said all the time you have to leave a space. Sadly for Mocho there wasn't any space to go through without losing time.
And ironically, that same Spanish driver is driving a green car this season in real life. So anyway, as Mocho now then just making his way into the final couple of corners. He's not expected to improve, I don't think, unless he performs some kind of miracle behind Videri's car, but he hasn't, and he does not improve, and he stays in 13th position. As we now look at Bence Valdinger, he's also down on his personal best In the middle sector, Valdinger is currently in the drop zone at the moment, currently down in 18th position, as the Hungarian now then just makes his way into the final turn. Onto the pit straight he goes, across the line, and no improvements. Got a yellow flag, and it's Lopez!
Oh,
Lopez has gone for a
Lopez.
spin out of the penultimate corner there, and that's going to impact people's laps there, because he's having to wait for a gap in the traffic before he can get going again. So that is really going to impact a lot of people's laps here, Dennis.
Yeah, I think it's even impeding almost everyone's lap here, because I don't know if there's someone was between Mocho and Lopez, but yeah, that's some very interesting tactics indeed. But yeah, that's, I think, everyone's lap ruined.
Yep, indeed, as he's waiting for a gap in the traffic, which might take some time. And that's the second that's the second race in a row, or second qualifying session in a row, where Lopez has actually spun whilst he was up on his personal best. So, is there a sign that Lopez is maybe pushing a bit too hard?
Yeah, maybe, of course, but the main difference between Misano spinning here because is that it's only Q1. But yeah, Misano, he was absolutely pushing, but let's see, he just got wide on the exit and then lost it off track.
Lost it on the drag strip there. He was starting to lose it just before the corner, and well, Carr's lap has been impacted as a result of that, and we pretty much think that everybody's lap has been impacted. I don't know if there was anybody else behind Lopez there when he was eventually able to get the car going, but yeah, another mistake in qualifying for Franco Lopez, and as a result, we're not going to be, I don't think we're going to be seeing any improvements on this run as a result. So the drivers who are currently in the drop zone are going to remain in the drop zone at the moment, unless there is somebody behind Lopez. There was, in fact, Chatfield is on track, but he's not in the drop zone at this stage. I didn't see Galloway go by, so I think Galloway might still be on a lap. Wilson was the one that got left behind on that occasion, by the way, for anybody wondering, so she's decided to stay in the garage. Chatfield loses time in the last sector, though, and doesn't improve, and he was up on his personal best, but seemed to lose time in the last sector. Rote, meanwhile, goes into third position, well, stays in third, but improves on his best time. De Rosa, across the line, he will go, and no improvement, stays where he is. David Kupak coming around the final corner as he now comes across the line, and he goes into 9th position, so gets himself into the top 10. Joantis Martins across the line, and no improvement, stays where he is at the moment. Laura Chung, across the line she goes, and no improvement. Joseph Willows, on improvement, goes into 16th, so pushes Griffiths into the drop zone, but only P16 for Joseph Willows at the moment. Griffiths, speaking of which, not up on his personal best by 0.3 of a second, so now Griffiths making his way into the final couple of the corners. He will go in the Williams as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, and Griffiths does not improve, stays where he is, as is everybody else coming into the pits this time by. They are indeed, so I do think that Galloway was impacted there by Lopez's spin, but yeah, only a couple of improvements on that occasion, Dennis, and it means that as a result, Galloway is still in the drop zone at the moment.
Yeah, because I think we only could see one lap, maybe at the end. I think we will only see one lap because now Galloway really has to find a gap in the track without traffic and to fully set it or avoid the Q1 elimination, which would be a huge shock.
Yep, so far the two Ferraris are only 15th and 18th. We did see that Chatfield was up on his personal best in the first two sectors, but then seemed to lose all that time in the last sector. And, well, he is currently in the top 16 threshold, but still not exactly comfortable for the British driver, as Bence Valdinger is going back out onto the track. We are expecting his teammate Amelia Wilson to also go out on track as well, because Wilson did stay behind on that occasion, so I guess in a way she's kind of lucky she did stay in the pits on that occasion, given that most of the drivers got impacted by Lopez's spin at the second to last corner, which prevented Lopez from even making it a Mercedes 1-2 in this session, looking at the lap times that he was doing, because he was only a few hundredths off of the car in the middle sector. In fact, I think he actually gained some time in the middle sector from memory as well, so that's pretty much that. Sontag's, just like in practice, the only driver so far to be over 2 seconds off the pace. Whether he would have improved without Lopez's mistake, I'm not sure, but that's pretty much that, really. As Galloway is now back out onto the track. Wilson has gone out on track, as has Rahul Patel, as has Amar Khan, the man currently at the top of the timing sheets, as now Valdinger is making his way towards the stadium section now then, as he will now come towards the left-handed banking now then, with just under 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session, as Valdinger is about to start his next flying lap. It will be his third flying lap. Will he get any traffic though, like what we saw with Macho a little bit earlier on? We shall wait and see. Valdinger coming out that final turn across the line. He will go, and he starts his third flying lap now. Just keep an eye on the right-hand side to see if anybody's coming out the pits, and no, there isn't. So Valdinger's lap will not get impacted. He needs to make sure it's a clean lap anyway, because so far, just like with his teammate Wilson, they're both in the drop zone in this session as Valdinger goes through turn 3, coming out at the end of the first sector. Is he up at his personal best? He is by a tenth of a second. 4 tenths down on Cardo in the first sector, so we'll see if Valdinger can keep this up in the remaining 2 sectors now then here at Hockenheim as Valdinger makes his way into the hairpin, flicking the car in through the right-hander. Now coming out the turn, making his way down this back straight before approaching the flat-out right-hander, which takes him towards the Mercedes grandstand now. Then Valdinger braking into the left-hander we go. We have seen some overtakes through into that corner before in the past, so whether we'll see any this season, we shall wait and see. Valdinger now then coming up towards the end of the second sector, and he's lost time in the middle sector, and he's now down on his personal best by 4 thousandths of a second, so he's lost a little bit of time now in the middle sector as a result, and unless he can find some time in the last sector, it looks like he's going to still stay in the drop zone at the moment. He'll probably only have one more flying lap to see if he can try and get his Alfa Romeo into the top 16 threshold. But anyway, Valdinger coming around the final corner onto the pit straight, and the Hungarian driver will now cross the line, and he does improve, but only into 19th position. In fact, he had a Red Bull right behind him as well, which didn't help. But yeah, Valdinger improves, but he remains in the drop zone and still in 19th position. Macho on an improvement across the line. He goes into 10th. So both Hasses are now into the top 10. So much better pace from them than what we saw previously. Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini, currently in 12th position across the line. He will go, stays in 12th for the time being. Perrin just starting his lap. Galloway in the drop zone across the line and goes into 5th. That's much better. That pushes Willows now into the drop zone. So Galloway up into P5. Wilson up on her personal best, currently in the drop zone herself. Could she also get a little bit of slipstream from that Aston Martin in front? Wilson now then across the line. She will go now then, and she goes 17th. She improves, but still in the drop zone. Carden improves, he stays on 1 minute 10.068. We look at Andre Videri, another driver who's in the drop zone at the moment. Currently on the back row of the grid at the moment is Videri. Cross the line, no improvement, stays in 21st and still in the drop zone. Quag up on his personal best. Cross the line, he will go, and he goes into 8th position, so a slight improvement there for Quag. 7th and 8th for the 2 Renault drivers. Barches Kloss up on his personal best, currently in 9th position. As Kloss now then across the line, and he goes, well, he stays in 7th place, but in fact he goes up to 7th, improves on his time there. Lopez didn't improve. Bernie's also not on an improvement. He makes his way into the final corner, and across the line we've got the Irishman, and he does not improve. As now we look at Nicolas Gau, who's just coming across the line, no improvement, and he stays where he is at the moment. George Roque not up on his personal best, comes around the final turn onto the pit straight. We will go, and Roque crosses the line, and he in fact finds some time in the last sector and goes up into 2nd place, so he's now 62 thousandths behind Armar. Perinin is not on an improvement. Cross the line he will go, and he stays in 8th position. Kupok starting his lap as we look at Sontag, who's up on his personal best, as he's currently 9 tenths off the rest of the pack at the moment. Sontag, cross the line he will go in the Williams, and he improves to go up to 21st. In fact, pushes Videri down into last position. So Williams is not last at the moment, but he's still in the drop zone, is Sontag. Martins doesn't improve. He stays in 14th at the moment, looking very good at the moment to possibly have another Q2 appearance is Joantis Martins. Chatfield, who's just currently in the cusp of the top 16, improves but only goes up into 11th position. As we now look at De Rosa, who's now in the cusp of the top 16 threshold, he doesn't improve and stays P16, as his teammate Willows is currently in the drop zone at the moment, down in 18th position. Laura Chung in the Lamborghini, she's on an improvement, currently 13th at the moment. She now crosses the line and goes up into 10th position, so she's into the top 10 now, is Laura Chung. As we look at Joseph Willows, is up on his personal best by 1/10 of a second, and he could just get into the top 16 threshold, but it would mean that he would actually push his teammate De Rosa into the drop zone. So this is possibly Willows' last chance due to how much time there is left on the clock. Willows crosses the line, goes up into 14th, and as a result pushes De Rosa into the drop zone. Now, I think De Rosa is now, well, in fact, will he get out in time, will De Rosa? Could he actually be out of this session? I do think we might get a few more that will do one more flying lap, or will we? That's going to be a question, because it's a little bit tight with the time at the moment. But, yeah, Willows goes up into 14th position and pushes De Rosa into the drop zone. Kupok on a lap, of course. He's up on his personal best. Across the line he goes and improves, but remains in 11th position. As everybody coming in, as Valdinger is going to give himself one more chance to try and see if he can get through into the second part of qualifying now then, and he goes out onto the track. Is anybody else going to join him? That's going to be the question. Valdinger through into turn 2 as turn 3 he goes now then. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, and then 18, 17, and now 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, and I think Valdinger is going to be the only one to do a lap here, because in front of him is Kupok. He's just completed a lap. So, yeah, that's going to be that then, really. So, De Rosa, Wilson, Griffiths, Sontag and Videri are all out. Whether Valdinger will join them is another question. He's down in 20th and he's given himself one more chance. So Martins, who stayed in the pits, has got to pray that Valdinger doesn't improve on his next flying lap, because if he does improve, then there is a chance that Martins could get eliminated in Q1, which would mean that both Aston Martins would be eliminated, particularly Andre Videri, who's going to be starting at the very least in last position. It could still be 21st, though, because it does all depend on where Gal ends up in qualifying, because, of course, let's not forget, Gal does have a 10-place grid penalty for this race. Valdinger, though, has just started his final flying lap, and there is a little bit of traffic in front. But there is a bit of a gap between him and Mocho, so whether or not he'll get held up by the Haas driver, we shall see. As Valdinger goes through into turn 3, let's see where the first sector is like compared to his best. 15 thousandths off in the first sector, so he's currently down at the moment, but we have seen drivers being able to recover it in the next 2 sectors, so let's not jump to conclusions just yet on Bence Valdinger, as the checkered flag is now out, signifying the end of Q1, as Valdinger comes out of the hairpin now, then just making his way towards the flat-out right-hander he will go. He looks like he's not catching up to Mocho, so at least for his sake, he's not going to get held up by the Haas driver, who's just getting some mileage in that car. Through into the right-hander goes Bence Valdinger, as he will now make his way towards the end of the second sector, and he's 34 thousandths up in that sector, but I think he's going to need a little bit more, I think, if he wants to go through. He needs to find, I think, about just about 2 tenths in this last sector if he wants to progress into Q number 2 now then. So Valdinger coming around the final couple of corners. Can he find the time in the last sector to progress into the second part? Valdinger, across the line he goes, and no he can't. He loses time in the last sector and he is out. He remains in 20th, so Johannes Martins can count his lucky chickens there, as he has made it through into Q2. So it's Carr, Roke and Byrne who are the top 3, and your bottom 6 are De Rosa, Wilson, Griffiths, Valdinger, Sontag and Videri. So, yeah, Martin's very lucky to get through into Q2. So another Q2 appearance there for the Brazilian, Dennis.
Yeah, on one side lucky, but also his lap was good enough. So he did a great effort. But De Rosa out again. That's very worrying for McLaren, for De Rosa, of course. But we will wait a bit to see Q2 going.
Indeed, another Q1 elimination for Kirishima De Rosa, and at the very least, he might still get 16th, of course, on the grid, because, of course, let's not forget, Miklos Gal does have that 10-place grid penalty for this race, so keep an eye on that. Of course, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment, while Shivi just gets Q2 sorted out. In the meantime, guys, let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying, but in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself so I can get the tweet prepared for Twitter, so bear with, guys, and yeah, so just bear with.
The screen is now back on. Of course, no rain. As you've seen at the beginning of Q1. But so far there aren't any predictions in the chat. So still, if you want to put some down, just do it.
Eventually, I found a photograph of car. That took a lot longer than anticipated there. Apologies for that. But, so anyway, we might as well get underway with Q2. So eventually, Dennis, I might as well ask you, who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
So I think that Willows will be eliminated, then Martins. Then I say one AlphaTauri, both Hasses, and one Lamborghini.
Okay, I am going to say, I'm going to say Willows will be eliminated. I think Martins will also be eliminated as well. I think, who else is there? I'm going to say, I think a Lamborghini will get eliminated. I think this is a tough one, isn't it? I think I'm going to say a Ferrari will get eliminated as well. An AlphaTauri will get eliminated, and I think I need one more, don't I? Actually, let's say both AlphaTauris on this occasion. Why not? So that's my prediction. So anyway, let's read out your predictions. As Gal has just gone out onto the racetrack, and yes, Dog Commentator is back. As we read out your predictions, as Franco has said, he believes Willows, Martins, an AlphaTauri, a Lambo, a Haas, and a Ferrari will be eliminated. Robbo said Willows, Martins, both Hasses, and both Ferraris. And Ra has said Willows, Martins, and AlphaTauri, Patel, so a Lamborghini in this case, a Ferrari, and a Haas. So some variations there as who people believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying, as Gal now then is preparing to start his first flying lap of Q2. There's still 3 cars in the pit lane, made that 2 now, as Gal makes his way through into the banked left-hander, and luckily all 16 cars are now out on track, so Gal should not have any issues whatsoever now when it comes to traffic. Same can't be said for everybody else though, but we shall wait and see as Gal now then just comes down the pit straight, making his way into the first corner. So through turn 1 he will go, and now in towards turn 2 he'll soon approach. So now through into the second corner, and then turn 3 will come. Of course, the AlphaTauri looking particularly strong around here because of the Honda engine, but whether they can keep that up in this session, we shall see. A 16.386 for Gal in the first sector as they go around the Parabolica, and now in towards the hairpin will go the Hungarian driver. So just looking at everybody else's first sector, 16.4 for Car in the first sector. So Gal is actually up on Car in the first sector, but of course, the first sector isn't really something you can really draw conclusions to, really. It's mainly the next 2 sectors that are the crucial ones. 16.3 for Byrne, 16.4 for Quark, 16.4 for Patel, 16.4 for Kloss, 16.1 for Lopez, so a very strong first sector for him. A 49.096 for Gal in the middle sector, as Gal is now coming up towards the banked left-hander before approaching the final 4 corners to complete his first flying lap of Q2. And now into the final couple of corners goes Miklos Gal. Into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the Hungarian driver, as Miklos Gal is now going to cross the line as a 1 minute 10.636. Here comes Amar Khan now then in the Mercedes as he just rounds the final corner onto the pit straight. He will go across the line and he goes into second. He's actually down on Gal, 84 thousandths off to be exact. Kloss across the line goes into third position. Lopez goes quickest by 0.3 of a second. Roman Quarg around the final turn he goes in the Renault as he will now come across the line and he goes into fourth position. Byrne across the line he goes and he slots into second place, a 10th off of Lopez. Patel across the line, he goes into third position, 2/10 off of Lopez. Here comes Johannes Martins, he goes into 7th place just in front of Bartosz Kloss there. Jake Galloway rounds the final turn and across the line will go the Ferrari driver and goes only 9th at that time. Not a good lap for him, only 6th for George Roque on the first flying lap there. Jesus Perinen goes into 3rd. Here comes Joseph Willows in the McLaren. He goes into 8th position as we now look at Mocha, who goes into 8th now, so he gets in front of Willows. Chris Chatfield coming out the final turn and across the line will go the Ferrari driver and he goes into 11th place. He's currently in the drop zone, is Chatfield. Chung across the line goes 12th. She's currently in the drop zone. Kupok across the line goes into 8th position, and they are the first laps done with. And, well, some very interesting times, but yeah, not a very good first lap for Car there, Dennis.
Yeah, not really. Same for George Roque, but on the other hand, Gal has done some great lap here. Yeah, of course, he's aiming a Q3 appearance despite his 10th place grid penalty. He wants to do well in qualifying.
Yep, indeed, and trying to get as high as he can to try and reduce the damage that's going to be with that 10th place grid penalty, as we have just over 10.5 minutes to go in this in Q2 as Gal will get wheeled back into the garage, and as now Gal will get wheeled back into the garage. So at the moment, currently in the drop zone, we have Quarg, Chatfield, Chung, Martins, Kloss and Galloway, both Ferraris currently in the drop zone as we speak, and Quarg also in the drop zone at the moment, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed. So far, it's very surprising that we have such an amount of competitive cars in the drop zone, but there's still 10 minutes to go in this session, so yeah, it's of course not over yet for those cars.
Definitely not at the moment, as Mocho is back in the pits, currently in 9th place at the moment in Q2 and currently in top 10 position. Willows currently in the top 10 at the moment in the McLaren. I don't think McLaren have actually had a Q3 appearance yet this season. Do correct me on that, but I don't think McLaren have had a Q3 appearance yet in 2022. So I think it's still going to be a bit of an ask because, of course, we've got Quarg, Chatfield and Galloway in that drop zone. But who knows, really? Could McLaren actually get into Q3 for the first time this season? We shall, of course, wait and see, as we just saw one of the AlphaTauris there getting wheeled back into the garage. I think that was Kupok, who was just getting wheeled back there. As we wait now, then it looks like there is some action going on. Looks like Gal is getting ready to go back out. Looks like someone else is as well. I think it might be a Haas that's about to go out on track at the same time. In fact, a Mercedes is going to beat them to the punch along with a Red Bull, that being the top two at the moment, Lopez and Byrne. So they're going out at roughly the same time as each other. Lopez on this occasion was able to hook up a lap that didn't involve a mistake, and they'll be looking to continue that for the remainder of this session, as Lopez just came out of turn 3 there before going around the Parabolica, as he will now approach the hairpin very soon. Gal has come out onto the track, as has Barch's Kloss, so we've currently got 4 cars out on the racetrack. Make that 5 now, because Armar Carr has just emerged from the pit lane as Lopez just comes out of the hairpin. I wonder if Byrne is going to get impeded by Lopez or not. At the moment, they've got a bit of a gap between the pair of them, so obviously something to keep an eye on in that regard, as Lopez just goes around the left and right-hander there before approaching the right-hander before coming towards the stadium section. Through into the right goes Franco Lopez, using a bit of curb on the outside, and now in towards the banking now. Then we go through into the left-hander, as now into the final 4 corners will come Lopez through the left, through the right, then through into the penultimate corner will go the Argentine, and same for Byrne as well, as they start their second flying laps. There's still 3 cars in the pit lane, including George Roque at this stage. Kupok has just gone out on track. Is there going to be any traffic for Lopez? There is a car coming out, and that is the McLaren of Joseph Willows that's just come out in front of both Lopez and Byrne there. Byrne is getting particularly close now to the back of Franco Lopez. Let's see what their first sector is going to look like compared to their personal best. Lopez 1/10 down in the first sector at the moment. He might get some slipstream from that McLaren that's in front. Same with Byrne as well on Lopez in front. But I wouldn't be surprised if these 3 are going to be holding each other up throughout this lap. We shall see. Coming out of the hairpin there they went, as they'll now approach flat out right-hander we will go, and now heading towards the Mercedes grandstands, where I'm pretty sure the Mercedes fans will be cheering Lopez on, as looked like Lopez took a bit of a wider line there into that corner compared to what Evan Byrne did, and 4/10 down in that middle sector, and Byrne is now right onto the gearbox as a result, and he's 26 thousandths up on his personal best, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to get compromised now, because he's now right onto the back of Franco Lopez here. Lopez actually losing a bit of time now to the McLaren of Willows in front, as coming around the final couple of corners we will go now then. Lopez making his way onto the pit straight. Across the line he goes. No improvement. Byrne does improve, but stays in second place. He's now 10th behind Franco Lopez. Kloss doesn't improve. He stays down in 15th. He's still in the drop zone. Gal stays in 5th. Roque has just started his lap. Carr up on his personal best, but still down on Lopez in the middle sector, but only by 53 thousandths of a second there. Carr could get himself to make it a Mercedes 1-2, but let's see. Carr coming down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he does go into second place. So it is now currently a Mercedes 1-2 at their home race, as now Martins comes around the final corner and onto the pit straight. They will go. He will go, sorry, and he does not improve. He stays in 14th. Quarg up on his personal best, and he needs to improve, and he does. Up into 6th place, that pushes Willows into the drop zone. Chatfield improves, but only into 12th position, so both Ferraris still in the drop zone at the moment. Perinen improves to go up into 4th. He lost time in the middle sector, but gains it back. Goes into 4th. Patel doesn't improve. He stays in 5th. Mocho across the line, no improvement. He stays in the cusp with the top 10. Chung across the line, and she doesn't improve. She's still in the drop zone down in 13th. Up in the middle sector is Galloway, but can he get out of the drop zone? Galloway across the line, and he can't. He improves, but stays in 16th, and still over a second off of Lopez. Kupok across the line, he stays in 9th position. Willows across the line, goes up into 8th, pushes Mocho into the drop zone. That's a very good lap there for Joseph Willows in the McLaren, as we now look at Roque, who's up on his personal best, and he goes quickest by 55 thousandths of a second. So Roque to the top of the timing screens with a 1 minute 10.241. So Roque and I'm now to the top of the timing screens. But yeah, very good second lap there for Joseph Willows. Could we actually see a McLaren get through into Q3 here?
Yeah, I think it's currently looking quite good for Willows, but we still have that one final shot to go for everybody. But currently it's absolutely horrible for both Ferraris. I mean, Chatfield P12 is also not good, but Galloway only P16. That's absolutely, I would say, terrifying for Ferrari.
Yeah, indeed, it's not going well for the Scuderia at the moment, and they're probably going to give themselves, they're going to have only one more flying lap, I think, to try and see if they can get both of their cars through into Q3, but at the moment it's not looking great for the Maranello squad, as we're currently looking at Gal at the moment. He's currently in the top 10, so he could make it into Q3, despite the fact that he's got the 10th place grid penalty, but we shall, of course, wait and see, as As there is his teammate David Kupok, who's now just arrived in the pit lane. As we have just over 4 minutes to go. Looks like Haas are getting ready to send out... well, there's one car getting towed away from them, so it would be the other car that's going to go out onto the racetrack. I think, is that going to be Barch's Kloss? I'm not 100% sure. Haas is going out on track, and it is Barch's Kloss. So he's going to be the first to do one more flying lap then in Q2, and he's going to give himself one more chance to try and see if he can get the Haas through into Q number 3. Same with Mocho at the moment, because so far both Haases are currently in the drop zone at the moment, both Mocho and Kloss, as we have just 3.5 minutes to go now then in this session. Evan Byrne has now just gone out onto the track in the Red Bull, so there's now 2 cars out on track, as the Polish driver now then just making his way into the hairpin now then, as he just comes out of the hairpin, and now he's preparing to start his final flying lap very soon. Roman Quagg has also just come out onto the track as well, as Kloss now then towards the Mercedes grandstand he'll go. He'll be hoping he doesn't get any traffic on his final flying lap, because that could ruin any chance he has of progressing into the final part of qualifying here today. As the Polish driver now then approaching the right-hander, he will go, flicks it in as he'll now come towards the stadium section, and into the banked left-hander we will go. Lopez has just gone out onto the track, same as Jake Galloway. Galloway, of course, one more chance for him to get through into Q3. But also Amar Kar has gone out on track as well. I wonder if Kloss is going to get any traffic at all, as he's just around in the final corner now then, and Kloss starting his third and final flying lap of Q2 now then. Just keep an eye on the right hand side, and there is no car there, so Kloss, thankfully for his sake, does not get any traffic on his final flying lap as he makes his way into turn 2. Now turn 3, let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. And he's 6 thousandths up in the first sector, not by much. Of course, the first sector you can't really read too much, so we'll have to see what he's able to do in the next 2 sectors, of course, as the Haas driver makes his way into the hairpin now then, flicks it in through the right-hander, and using a bit of curve on the outside there then, as Kloss now then will make his way towards the flat-out right-hander he goes, and now approaching where the Mercedes grandstand is, flicking it in through into the left-hander, and now approaching medium speed right-hander, and now approaching the end of sector 2. He's going to continue to be up on his personal best, let's see, and yes he is, but only by 79 thousandths. He's going to need a little bit more, I think, in this last sector if he wants to progress, but at the moment, it's even though he's looking like he's going to be on for an improvement, I don't think Kloss is going to progress at the moment, but let's see. Kloss now then through into the final 4 corners he will go, as he now makes his way into the final couple of corners. So into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Barch's Kloss in the Haas now, then across the line he will go. Can he progress? And no, he can't. He improves, but he goes up into 13th, so Kloss is out in Q2. Here comes Evan Byrne up on his personal best. Can he get anywhere near teammate George Roke at all? Evan Byrne across the line he will go, and no, he doesn't. He improves but stays in 4th. Chatfield, one more chance for him to get through into Q3. Quagg up on his personal best, currently in 7th place at the moment is the Renault driver, and I've just realised that Byrne has actually set the same time as Amar Kar. Kar being ahead, of course, because he set the time first. Roman Quagg coming out the final corner, across the line he goes, and he goes into 3rd position. So P3 for Roman Quagg there then, as now we look at Jake Galloway in the Ferrari, just making his way around the right-hander. And so a big improvement there for Roman Quagg to get up into 3rd position in the Renault. Galloway, though, down on his personal best, and he's down in 16th. And if he can't find anything in this last sector, he is going to be eliminated here. So Galloway into the final couple of corners now then, through the final turn, and onto the pit straight he goes. As Galloway comes across the line now then, and he improves but stays in 16th. Galloway is out. He stays in 16th position. Car across the line doesn't improve. I think Lopez didn't improve either. Perinen doesn't improve, stays in 6th position. Gal not on an improvement either. He crosses the line and stays in 8th. As here comes Joantas Martins in the Aston Martin. He's not on an improvement at the moment, currently down in 15th position. Martins across the line, and he doesn't improve, stays in 15th position. Patel also not up on his personal best, currently P7. Looks like he's going to get through anyway, but we shall see. Patel now then, and the pit straight, across the line, no improvement, stays where he is. Chatfield up on his personal best. Can he get the Ferrari through into the final part of qualifying? He most certainly can. He gets up into 6th position. That pushes Kupok now into the drop zone. Macho across the line. He doesn't improve, so both Hasses are out. Only 12th for him. Chung up on her personal best. She crosses the line, but it's only good enough for 11th. She's out. So Chung is out of qualifying. Kupok goes up into 8th. That pushes Willows into the drop zone, and he's down on his personal best. And he was up on his personal best, but lost time in the middle sector. Willows across the line. He will go, and he's going to miss out only just. It's P11 for Willows, so still no Q3 appearance yet for McLaren in 2022. Willows came so close, but not on this occasion. Roke now then, around the final corner. He's not on an improvement. He crossed the line, and he's going to stay on the 1 minute 10.241. And I think that is Q2 done with, I think. Yes, it is. And, well, very interesting end to the session there. It says Burn ahead of Car on the vanilla game, but ignore that. It's Car above Burn because Car set the time first. But it's Roke, Lopez, and Quark who are the top three. And your bottom six are Joseph Willows, Laura Chong, Michael Motto, Bartosz Kloss, Johannes Martins, and Jake Galloway. But, yeah, for Galloway, a disappointing qualifying for him.
Yeah, I think disappointing is a bit of an understatement. It's absolutely disaster for him, only P16. But also, I think for Martins, it was a good effort on P15. You can be pleased with that. But also, I want to mention that the top 10 are within 4 tenths. That's insane.
Very, very close indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for a moment, and while Huey gets everything sorted out for Q3. But in the meantime, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's German Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself so I can prepare for tweet for Twitter. And hopefully, I'm a little bit quicker this time than previously. So bear with, and I'll be back in just a tick. So apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment.
Yeah, fun fact, it's the third time that McLaren is a P11 in Q2. That's unlucky, I would say.
Okay, I am back, and as Franco was just pointing out there, Willows will start in P10 anyway, because of course, let's not forget, Gal does have that 10-place grid penalty. So obviously, the minimum, or the maximum that Gal can start, of course, in this race is, of course, P11, but that's only if he was able to somehow get pole position. I don't think that's going to happen, but just imagine if somehow, through a cruel bit of luck, that the Gal just got pole position in this, despite the fact he got a 10-place grid penalty. It'd be the cruelest bit of luck that you can imagine. But these are these things, really, as currently Dennis is currently muted at the moment as we speak, as I think he's gone to dash off somewhere at the moment. But anyway, as we just wait for Yuri to sort everything out, of course, for Q number 3, and it's looking like it is once again going to be it looks like it's going to be a very close fight between Red Bull and Mercedes again for pole position, and it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be the one that comes out on top this time. By so far, Red Bull have taken pole in the past 2 sessions, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that up. But we've got the screen back up. I'm not sure if Dennis is about. Are you there, Dennis? Oh, he's still currently muted at the moment. So anyway, I'll give my predictions, who I believe will take pole position, and then I'll ask Dennis a little bit later on when he's arrived back. So my prediction, I'm going to say Franco Lopez for pole position. I think I'm going to go with a Mercedes that will take pole position on this occasion, as we'll wait to see if Dennis has arrived back or not, as currently he's muted at the moment. But anyway, as we wait now then for the next car to go out, the first car to go out on track in this final part of qualifying, as we now wait.
I'm back.
And there goes Dennis, he is now back. So might as well ask you, Dennis, who do you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's German Grand Prix?
I think it will be, maybe come a bit of a surprise, I think it will be Franco Lopez.
I actually went with Lopez as well, Dennis. So,
Okay. I didn't heard that.
so that's that really. So we've both gone with Lopez. It's Chris Chatfield is the first man out on track in Q3. Of course, the only Ferrari representative, of course, because Galloway got eliminated in Q2 earlier on. So I'm going to read everybody else's predictions now then. So anyway, Franco has said George Roque will get pole position. Rob has said George Roque will also get pole position. Ra has also said George Roque will get pole. Chris Chatfield has said Franco Lopez for pole. So kind of split between Roque and Lopez. Byrne and Carr have not appeared in anyone's predictions for this one. So anyway, as Chatfield preparing to start his first flying lap of Q3, as there's 4 cars up. Yuri said Q-Park. So anyway, 5 cars on track, that being Chatfield, Gal, Patel, Lopez and Q-Park at the moment. So still 5 cars left to go out on track. As Chatfield now then through into the right-hander now then he goes, as he will now make his way towards the banked left-hander now then. And now just coming out of that turn, now making his way into the final few turns will go the Ferrari driver into the penultimate corner. Now into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Chatfield to start his lap. All 10 cars are out on track, so Chatfield should not have any traffic issues whatsoever as Chatfield makes his way into the first corner now, then flicking it in, using a lot of curb on the outside before making his way towards turns 2 and 3 now then. So through turn 2, and let's see through out of turn 3 to see what his first sector time is going to look like, and it is a 16.2 in the first sector, as we'll wait to see what everybody else is doing in that first sector very soon. A 16.5 for David Q-Park, so Q-Park down on Chatfield in the first sector as Chatfield just goes into the hairpin there. 16.3 for Patel, he's also down on Chatfield at this stage as Chatfield now then makes his way towards the flat out right-hander. He will go, and now approaching towards the Mercedes grandstand, and he'll soon be approaching the end of sector 2 very, very soon. Through into the right-hander we go, as now approaching the end of sector 2, and it is a 49.056 for Chatfield there, as Lopez the 16.282 in the first sector, so only just up on Chatfield in the first sector there. As Chatfield now then coming towards the final 4 corners will come the Ferrari driver, as he will now make his way into the penultimate corner, and now into the final corner onto the pit straight will go Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari across the line, and he does a 1 minute 10.592. Here comes David Q-Park in the AlphaTauri. He now crosses the line. He goes only second, 7 tenths off of Chris Chatfield. In the end, Rahul Patel across the line he will go, and he goes quickest by 2 tenths of a second. So he was able to find time in the last 2 sectors after he was down on Chatfield in the first sector. Lopez is actually down on Patel in the middle sector. He was up on him, but now he's actually down in the middle sector. So we'll see if that's going to continue in the last sector here. Lopez now then through into the final corner onto the pit straight, and Franco Lopez crosses the line and goes into second place. He's behind Patel on this occasion, as Gal is actually 1 tenth down on Patel in the middle sector, goes third. He was up on him in the first sector, but clearly Patel's had a very strong last 2 sectors. Even Byrne is down on Patel in the middle sector, as he now crosses the line and goes second place, 32 thousandths off. Quark across the line, he goes into 6th position. Here comes Armar Carr. He's way down on Patel. He's 4 tenths down in the middle sector here, as Carr now then makes his way out the final corner and onto the pit straight. Carr across the line, and he goes only 7th. Roque across the line, but he goes quickest by 74 thousandths of a second. But then Perinen beats him by exactly a tenth. Perinen now to the top of the timing screen. So yeah, some very interesting first laps there, Dennis. Patel shockingly up in 3rd position, but yeah, Byrne, Lopez and Carr clearly struggling on their first lap, but Perinen out of nowhere to the top of the timing screens.
Yeah, indeed. I don't think anyone was expecting here, but it seems like 2021 quali performances are back, which is order so far. But yeah, at the moment it's very interesting order with Carr only in 9th.
As we also have Lopez in 5th and Byrne in 4th. Currently, Gal is in 6th, but I can tell you, of course, that if it were to stay like this, Gal would actually start 16th on the grid due to his 10th-place grid penalty, of course. So at the moment, Gal will start in 16th if it were to stay like this, as Q-Park gets wheeled back into the garage now then, as Carr, Roque and Perinen are still yet to come back into the pit. We've just under 10 minutes to go. Whether it will stay like this, though, we shall have to wait and see, of course, because I'm pretty sure Byrne, Lopez and Carr will look to try and see if there's a little bit more in the locker for them to unlock. But yeah, very strong lap there from Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini, currently in 3rd position at the moment, as Gal gets wheeled back into the garage now then, as we wait for the second runs of Q3 to happen, as all 10 cars are now back in the pit lane. And let's see who's going to go out on track first for the second runs. Of course, last time by, it was, of course, Chris Chatfield. Whether he'll do that this time by, we shall wait and see. As now the seconds continue to tick down on the top of your screen there, as with just over 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session. In fact, the half timer is getting ready, but it looks like Chatfield's beating them to the punch again. So Chatfield will once again go out on track first, as he now makes his way out of the pit lane, as he's preparing to start his next lap very, very soon, as he makes his way through into turns 2 and 3 now then, as Chatfield just coming out of turn 3 he goes, and preparing himself for his next flying lap very, very soon now then. As he's also on track is David Kupok as well. So Kupok has also just come out on track. He's second on the road at the moment. So basically the first two as it was on the first flying laps. Will Chatfield get any traffic though on his second flying lap? We shall, of course, wait and see, as he now makes his way through into the left-hander. So Chatfield now then coming around the right-hander, he will go. And also on track now then we have Roman Quark along with Miklos Gau as well. Through into the right-hander goes Chatfield, as he will now make his way towards the banked left-hander. He will go, flicking it in through that left-hander he goes. And now heading into the final 4 corners will go the Ferrari driver. Through the penultimate turn, and now into the final corner we go. Still 3 cars in the pit lane, so we'll see if Chatfield does get held up or not. Chatfield now then starting his second flying lap. Through into turn 1 he goes. Is there a car on the exit? I didn't quite see anybody just there, and luckily for Chatfield, he's not going to get any traffic, so it looks like another clean lap for the Ferrari driver as he makes his way through into turns 2 and 3 now then. Currently in 7th position is Chatfield. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best. 3 tenths down, so way off his personal best in the first sector on that occasion. He had a pretty strong first sector he did previously, but clearly lacked a little bit in the last 2 sectors, as Chatfield now then through into the hairpin he goes, using a bit of curb on the outside before making his way towards the flat out right-hander now then he will go. Flat through the right goes Chris Chatfield, as now he makes his way through into the left-hander now then, as he will now approach the right, and let's see what his middle sector is going to look like compared to his personal best, and he is 4 tenths down, so I'm not expecting Chatfield to improve as a result, but of course the drivers to keep an eye on when it comes to improvements are of course Carr, Lopez and Byrne, of course, and maybe Quark to a certain extent as well, given the time that his teammate Perinen did to go to the top of the timing screens. But anyway, Chatfield through into the final corner and onto the pit straight. Across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve and stays in 7th place, as Lopez about to start his lap very soon, as Kupok is down on his personal best by 82 thousandths of a second. Kupok out of the final turn and onto the pit straight he will go, and he doesn't improve and stays in 10th, as Roke and Carr preparing for their laps. Quark down on his personal best by 2 tenths of a second. Currently in 8th position is the Frenchman, as Quark now then through into the banked left-hander he will go. He now comes up towards the final 4 corners on the racetrack through the penultimate turn, and now into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Roman Quark in the Renault, as he now crosses the line and does not improve, stays where he is. Gal is also not up on his personal best. He now crosses the line and he stays in 6th position. Byrne is not up on his personal best either. 2 tenths down in the middle sector. He crosses the line, no improvement, stays where he is. Perinen also not up on his best time at the moment either, as he comes around the final turn. Perinen now then down the pit straight across the line, and he stays on 1 minute 10.1. Patel improves but remains in 3rd position, as Lopez is purple in the middle sector. So here we go, 3 tenths up on his personal best. Lopez purple in the middle sector as he now mounts the left-hander. Now then he goes. The Argentine through into the final 4 corners on the racetrack now then, through the penultimate turn, and now into the final corner comes Franco Lopez in the Mercedes. Can he go to the top of the timing screens across the line? And yes he can. A 1 minute 10.026. Roke is not up on his personal best. He's down at the moment by 1/10 in the middle sector on his personal best now then. Roke now then through into the penultimate turn, and now into the final corner goes George Roke, and onto the pit straight he will go, as he will now cross the line and does not improve, stays where he is. Carr is up on his personal best, but he's down on Lopez by 4 tenths. He's up across the line, but only good enough for 7th on that occasion. So Carr, clearly the Hockenheim curse is clearly affecting him at the moment. Only P7 for him on that occasion. But yeah, surprisingly, Byrne and Carr, even though Carr did improve, they're still a little bit lower than expected, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed, especially Carr, with so far having an absolutely disastrous Q3 for his ambitions. But yeah, Lopez, that's what is expected for him to do. But yeah, he just smashed it to the top. Yeah, there's still one lap remaining for everybody to grab pole.
One more flying lap in this session. Gal will still start in 16th at the moment because he still remained in 6th after those second runs. So at the moment, Gal will still start in 16th place if it were to stay like this. As we have just over 4 minutes to go now then in this qualifying session to determine the grid for tomorrow's German Grand Prix here at Hockenheim. As the home favourite, David Cupok, currently in 10th place, way off the pace of everybody else at the moment. The top 9 separated by 6/10 of a second, so pretty much close together. And I'm pretty sure, knowing Cupok, he'll want to get himself involved in that as best as he can. But we shall, of course, wait and see as we wait for the final runs to happen. I wonder if Chatfield is going to get out on track first like he did previously. Currently in 8th place at the moment is the Ferrari driver, as the seconds continue to tick down here, as it looks like Cupok's getting ready to go out, but is Chatfield going to beat him to the punch like previously now then, as Cupok getting ready to go out.
Not this time.
Looks like Gal's also, not this time. Cupok's going to get out on track first. Looks like Gal's also getting ready to go out on track as well, as Cupok now then makes his way out onto the racetrack. And currently the only driver over a second behind Franco Lopez at the moment. And he's actually got a 7/10 gap between himself and Roman Quarg at this stage. So that's that. Gal is on track, as is Chris Chatfield. So both of them are now out on the racetrack. So 3 cars now out on track as they get prepared for their final lap of Q3 now then, as they make their way into the hairpin. Patel is out on track, as is Evan Byrne. I wonder how close Byrne is to Rahul Patel though, because that looked like roughly about the same time those two came out on track. As Cupok making his way towards the Mercedes grandstand now then, flicking it in the left-hander he will go, as he will now flick the car in through the right-hander, as he will now approach the long swooping right-hander he will go, as now approaching the banked left-hander he goes. Still 3 cars in the pit lane, made that 2 now, only Roken Kara left in the pit lane as we speak. Car desperate to improve, currently down in 7th place at the moment, is the championship leader, as Cupok now then rounds the final corner and onto the pit straight he will go, as Cupok starts his lap now then in the AlphaTauri. Now, is any one of Roke or Car going to be impeding him? The answer to that is no, so Cupok will get a clean lap to see if he can try and improve on that 10th position he's currently in, as Cupok approaches turn 2 now then on the track, now flicking the car in through 3. Let's see what his first sector is like compared to his personal best, and he's up by 4/10 of a second. He's actually 37,000 down on Lopez, but of course let's not draw too much attention to the first sector, because you don't really gain too much or lose a lot in that last sector, so it's not really a sector that you can draw any form of conclusions, as all 10 cars are now out on the racetrack. It looks like Cupok had a bit of understeer though coming out of the hairpin, so maybe Cupok again pushing a bit too hard to try and do an improvement there. Will that affect him in any way, shape or form? We shall see, as Cupok now then past the Mercedes grandstand he goes, now flicking it in through the right-hander, and let's see what Cupok's middle sector is going to look like compared to his personal best. He's still 5/10 up, so clearly not affecting him too much there is Cupok, so it looks like he's going to get a little bit higher up. It looked like understeer coming out the hairpin, but I might be wrong on that. But anyway, here he's still gained though in the middle sector, so maybe without that mistake, who knows how quick Cupok could have been in that middle sector. But anyway, David Cupok down the pit straight, across the line he will go, and he goes, well, he stays in 9th, but improves on his best. In fact, goes up to 9th, goes in front of Quad. Okay, interesting. Cupok could have been P2 according to you without that mistake, as Chatfield didn't improve. Gal didn't improve either, as we just saw there. As now we look at Byrne, who was up on his personal best, but loses time again in the middle sector. Let's see if he's able to get it back in the last sector. Byrne across the line and doesn't improve. He stays down in 5th. Not a good qualifying for Evan Byrne. Patel stays in 4th. Roke just starting his lap. Wonder if he'll get a bit of slipstream from Patel in front. Perinin is not up on his personal best either. He's way off his best in the middle sector, so he'll be praying he can stay on the front row of the grid. Here comes Jesus Perinin now then, through into the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Jesus Perinin in the Renault across the line, and he does not improve. Quark also not up on his personal best. It looks like he's going to remain in 10th position, so again, consistency a bit of an issue for the 2 Renault drivers. Quark does not improve, stays where he is. Lopez not up on his personal best, and he stays on 1 minute 10.026, as Carr is also not up on his personal best. I don't know if Chatfield had a bit to play on that, because he's down on his personal best, his car, and he's still down. So I wonder if Chatfield held him up, and it looks like it's going to be a poor qualifying here for Armar Car. It seems that this track that he clearly has bad luck at has come back to haunt him, it seems, as Car now then through into the final 4 corners. He will go now then on the racetrack as he will now make his way into the final couple of corners and onto the pit straight now. Then goes Armar Car in the Mercedes. He crosses the line and he does not improve, and he remains where he is. Roke is on a lap, but he looks like he is getting held up here by Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini. He was up on his personal best in the first sector as Roke, but now he's going to lose time as a result, and it looks like he's not going to be on the front row. Roke remains in 3rd place after that lap, and there's on those laps done with, and it is as a result. So me and Dennis got our prediction right. It is Franco Lopez who takes pole position for tomorrow's German Grand Prix. It's the first time in a long time that Lopez has been on pole. The last time he took pole, in fact, was the 2020 United States Grand Prix. So it's been 2 seasons without a pole for Franco Lopez, but he finally got a pole position this season. So me and Dennis are now going to mute ourselves, and we're going to allow you to enjoy how Franco Lopez got pole position for the German Grand Prix. And that is how Franco Lopez took pole position for tomorrow's German Grand Prix. His first pole since the 2020 United States Grand Prix. Been a long time coming for him, Dennis, but finally he gets a pole position.
Yeah, finally, it was about time for Lopez, but he did it in his usual style. Yeah, which is for him absolutely great to see. But yeah, here are the results.
Yep, it's Franco Lopez on pole position, followed by Hazard Perinen in 2nd place. A very good effort for him. He'll be staying on the front row with George Roke in 3rd, Rahul Patel a very impressive 4th in the Lamborghini, with Evan Berner disappointing 5th. Mikolas Gal ended up in 6th in this session, but because of his 10th place grid penalty, he will start in 16th for tomorrow's race. So that means that Carr will be promoted up to 6th, so it means that Carr will be starting on the same row as Evan Byrne for tomorrow. Chris Chatfield will be in 7th, David Cupot will be in 8th, Roman Quagg will be in 9th, and then Joseph Willows, of course, will be promoted into 10th position as a result of Gal's penalty. But yeah, that has been it then for the qualifying session here at Hockenheim. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very enjoyable session indeed, and hopefully we're going to be in for an exciting race tomorrow. Of course, Formula 2 will be happening tomorrow, of course, because of Flo being busy, that being both the qualifying and the races happening I think on the same stream for tomorrow for Formula 2, and that will happen at 7 p.m. GMT tomorrow, so after the top class race finishes. But we will see you then, guys, tomorrow then at 5 p.m. GMT for the 67-lap German Grand Prix, and hopefully we're in for a cracking one. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it, so thank you all for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Dennis Graff, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT for the 67-lap German Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Auf Wiedersehen.